Hello everybody and welcome back to Cursed Site. Alright, we are back in the game, we're back in the story. Let's go back to the palace. Whatever's gonna happen next. I lost track of how much time I had spent walking around Melody Way. Flock had me slacking, might be executed, but going back would mean having to tell Mion about Sasa. Compared to that, life might be a nice way out. Eventually I lumbered my way back in the temple. The pause outside Mion's room. I imagined what the reaction to the news would be. What made me want to run away. A sigh, I reached for the door handles. Those doors felt so damn heavy today. I almost needed to use both arms just to slide them open. The second I walked in, I thought Mion would pound at me and demand to know what happened. Instead I found her laying on the floor. Heavy breathing told me she had not simply fallen asleep. I crouched beside Mion and slipped a hand under her veil. Her forehead felt warm enough to boil an egg. She must have been holding back this fever since the morning. I should have checked up on her before I left. As I rose to get help, Mion held onto my sleeve. Guy. Hearing Mion saying my name normally made my day. This time around, before it felt like a claw whipping down my neck. Tell me Sasa's okay, Mion said. Tell me! Now I knew how that guard felt when I forced him to confirm Sasa's death. I opened my mouth but failed to produce any words. So long as I kept quiet, I felt as if there might still be hope. Mion bit her lip, and I knew she'd already figured it out. But I saw her alive and well in my vision. Did the spoiled apples anger the goddesses? My first thought was to try and defend myself. Pretty much exposed me as the filth that I was. Blaming each other could bring back Sasa. I would argue with Mion until my throat tore to pieces. Did my blunder really ruin the ritual? So, no amount of apology would suffice. Tears brimming, brushed off Mion's arm, fled the room. So telling a servant to call a doctor, I locked myself into the nearest toilet and bawled. I hoped nobody sat in the other cubicles, or they would hear me for sure. By the time I came out of the bathroom, afternoon had already settled in. I missed several cleaning duties, but lucky for me, Locke had bigger issues to attend to right now. That night I returned into Mion's room and found her asleep on the floor. She wanted to yell at me until sunrise, so be it. Anything to at least lift her spirits a little. It killed me to see her sweating under a blanket like this. The towel on Mion's head had dried up, so I dunked it into the water bowl next to her. When Mion got sick as a child, Sasa would stay one night to watch over her, but Mion might have even fainted sickness a few times to Sasa, so would stick around. None of this would ever happen again. Put the towel back under Mion's forehead, knowing the duty now belonged to me. Memories of Sasa kept playing in my head. If I forced him to stop, yet one day I might forget her face. Outside, Sasa's entire family perished in an explosion. Aside from Mion and I, there was nobody left around to mourn for her. Judging from the smears on Mion's cheeks, I knew she had been crying all afternoon. The sight of those tear marks made me want to weep again. I could shed her share of tears, I would gladly do so until I turned blind. I snapped from my trance when I noticed a figure standing on the veranda, absorbed in thought. I had failed to see him until now. Crap. How long had he been standing there? He looked to be a boy around my age. When I first had arrived in his temple, the flower patterns adorning his blue attire suggested he fell from West Haria. He donned shoulder blades just like the ones West Harian soldiers wore. This boy belonged in the army. He must be the youngest member yet. Even his clothes seemed several sizes too big for him. In the past, seeing someone from my home city might have excited me, but East and West Haria were at war. Did this guy come to assassinate Mion, treasure of East Haria? For one thing, I knew he had a serious interest in the likes of me. I spotted the blade tied to the boy's belt. Maybe I should call the guards for help, but running now would mean leaving Mion alone with this guy. If I yelled, he might become agitated. Please, Sasa, lend me strength to become Mion's knight. This room had no weapons for me to use. I pulled the towel off Mion's head and waved it around like a blade. The West Tyrant snickered at me, and to be honest, I'd hardly blame him. Mian staggered out of bed. She must have woken up when I took the towel off her. This guy came to assassinate Mian. Would he have picked another date? With at least one day to mourn our loss. Mian stepped in front of me, showing more poise than I managed to muster. He'll take a step forward. My legs shivered and froze me in place. Chill out. I only came to deliver a message, the Vestavian said. His voice sounded like it belonged to a child, so that confirmed his suspicion about his age. The Vestavian pointed at me and East Town will continue to use you for the war, but know that in the West, we have a treasure of our own. You mean somebody in Vestaria also possessed the cursed site? Back when I lived there, I'd never heard of such a person. There will be endless bloodshed if you remained here, Vestarian said to me, and 3 nights from now, I'll wait for you in the forest outside Melody Bay, as someone who will be keen to meet you. Vestarian leaped down over the rail and vanished into the shadows with the boy gone. I folded my arms and grunted in an attempt to act tough. Yeah, you better run away. I'll go, Mion said, paying zero attention to my cool act. It smells like a trap, no matter how you look at it, clasped Mion's arms. A trap for Vestaria to possess your powers. Mion lowered my hands. That boy speaks the truth. There's indeed another person out there with the cursed side, who's been tampering with my spells. That's why your powers have become unstable? I need to meet this person. In recent years, Mion's spells did appear to be faltering. We thought her powers might be on the decline, but now we knew the real reason. Mion's fevers after each ritual had been worsening. This Vestarian kept restoring Mion's spells, they might wipe each other out. Did this mean the Vestarian was responsible for Sasa's death too? I clenched my fists as I imagined pounding this person's face into jelly. Mion leaned forward and tapped her head against my chest. I'm sorry for you blaming you about Sasa. I was more capable, she could have been saved. I'm only good at causing death and destruction. You're letting that Vestarian's word get to you, I said. Mion shook her head. Killed even my parents with the cursed sight. By the time people figured out how my powers worked, so many more had already fallen. On my first day in the temple, Mion had supposedly killed a child who had flipped her veil out of curiosity. His mother had been executed partly by Mion's hands as well. Not your fault. Think of no other empty words to say. Out of all the servants, Mion referred to only me by name. What it meant I understood her best, but nights like these reminded me that in fact, I knew nothing. Mion wanted to escape from this temple. I had no right to get in the way. Compared to freedom, my company meant nothing to her. In the end, I was but another servant. Three days had passed with Mion and Abella exchanging words. The more we spoke, the more it would hurt when the time came for us to part ways. At last, the moment for Mion to escape had arrived. The temple had been holding her captive since childhood, but the sentence would end tonight. I opened the doors into Mion's room. A part of me still wished she would change her mind. I even considered sharing the corridor with a stack of tables to block her in. It would all be a trap from Vestaria, and most important, I wanted to keep Mion to myself. I entered Mion's room to find her pacing around the carpet, looking anxious to carry out her plan. Sasa, please watch over us. Watch over her. I had thought hard about what to say as farewell. 100 ideas crossed my mind, yet now I stood here in silence. Anything I said would just become another burden on her. She was already carrying enough clothes on her shoulders. And here's the funny big question: why would you not just go with her, you idiot? Idiot, Barker. It's been 10 years and you're still a Barker. Poked my head out the door to check for guards. As I predicted, the corridor looked clear. Having served here for so long, I knew exactly when the guards liked to sneak in their naps and cigarette breaks. I gave Mion the signal and she tiptoed out of the room. Mion trotted down the corridor faster than I'd ever seen her move. This would be the last I saw of her, so I burned the sight into my memory. My tongue froze, preventing me from saying a word, but I at least whispered goodbye in my mind. Mion peered over her shoulder, having been around here for all these years. I could feel her impatience just from the way she cocked her head. She waved me over like a pet had fallen behind during a walk. Mion had wanted me to join her. She could have told me beforehand to avoid all this heartache. No shit, Sherlock. I mean, it was obvious for everybody that you should come. What are you talking about? Maybe the thought of telling me made her blush. Perhaps in her mind, me coming along seemed as natural as the sun rising at dawn. In this temple, King disposed of servants as casually as I took out the garbage. Mion's question made me feel needed again. Once she turned her head, I let my lips curl into a grin. As we fled, Mion kept glancing over her shoulder as if worried I might stop following her. What a silly thought. Mion hurled fruits as meat over the smallest things, but she also kept my days interesting. I had nowhere else really to go. Mion and I arrived at the temple entrance. A pair of guards stood by the doors, barring our path to freedom. These two usually snuck out for beer at this hour to just the back they to act so diligent. Mion hid behind the pillar with her shoulders slumping so much I feared they might fall off. I locked fingers with her and pulled her out of hiding. So letting go of her hand, I marched towards the guards. Mion tugged on my sleeve as she trailed me. Keep your head straight, I said once I drew close enough for the guards to hear us. I spoke in a loud voice so they would hear. Get a move on. King Locke wants us back by midnight. Mion let go of my sleeve and grunted. Relax. If anyone slows her down, I'll make sure the king knows about it. I resisted the urge to smile. Someone who never went out, Mion had some serious street smarts. I knew she would catch on in and play it cool. God stepped out of her way, allowing us to squeeze right past the gates. We mumbled to each other as we passed them. Thank the goddess these goons were too stupid to figure out our lie. Once Mion and I reached Melody Way, I started along with my head held high. As Mion showed she needed me around, and I managed to pull off a stunt like this. Glory got to my head, and I let out a chuckle. It only worked because they're too afraid to speak up against me, Mion said. Well, you do have a scary temper. Mion glanced towards an apple tree to the right as I'm contemplating whether she should pick a fruit and throw it at my forehead. Lucky for me, she decided against it and walked on. Come to think of it, those two guards we fooled might end up being killed by Locke for their plunder. At least the realization made me feel guilty for ever celebrating. We passed several villagers in Melody Way, but none of them approached us. In fact, they all swerved away to keep their distance. Mion seemed unfazed, but I could only imagine how much it broke inside her. Mion and I left Melody's Way at last. No lanterns light our path. We trudged along the bush road in darkness. 3 branches crunched beneath our shoes. I felt Mion's arm brushing against mine. The trees enveloping us had twisting branches that resembled broken arms. This place reeked of mud, and with ravens squawking all around, I actually missed the swinging bells from the village. I wanted to make some manly vow about protecting Mion, but I probably shivered worse than she did. In the distance, I could hear the growling of beasts. At this rate, we might be eaten by predators before the Vestarians could spring any trap on us. The breeze whistled by, and after a sneeze, I turned to Mion. Are you cold? Mion shook her head. Your nose is running. I could have stolen some spare clothes from the temple on my way out. Once Mion looked away, I quickly wiped the sleeve across my nose. Gross. Could it be the eating snot? Leaves rustled into a bush to the side. Mion yanked me away from the noise before I could do the same for her. It had better just be some rats crawling past. Anything bigger would have to face my broomstick of fury. Hold on, crap. Left my broom in the temple too. A flock of baby birds gathered from the bush and confessed I jumped more than Mion had. Way to be a knight, sir, guy. Sister! Even has our hair, it's definitely our sister. A pair of figures emerged from where the birds had fled. One was the Vestarian from 3 nights ago. Beside him stood a girl in a blue dress decorated with flowers. The guy did say someone wanted to meet Mion here, so he kept at least that part of the promise. The girl standing before us donned a veil much like Mion's. It served the same purpose. That meant she too possessed the cursed sight. She must be one who blocked Mion's powers and allowed Sasa to die. My hands coiled into fists as I stomped towards the switch, but the other Vestarian jumped into my path. Invited the girl here, not you. Broke Mion responded. My name's Mion, not girl. Guy's my most trusted companion. He's unwelcomed here, and I'm leaving as well. Pounded a fist against my chest. That's right, I'm her most trusted companion. Mion elbowed me in the ribs, knocking the swagger right out of me. Still, my heart pounded over those words she had added. Most trusted companion? Wondered if Mion's cheeks were flushing under that veil. Mion whispered into my ear. This girl has power similar to mine. Hence it's simmering within her. Her name is Sulu, not girl, the Rastarian boy said with a smirk. Right back at you. Did this guy see himself as some kind of wisecracker? Or like an asscracker if you ask me. No need to be aggressive, Nick, a girl named Zulu said. Judging her voice and height, she must be no older than 10. From this point on, Mr. Mion and Sir Guy are our friends, Zulu said. Never before had I been addressed in such a polite manner, but it would take much more than that to win my forgiveness. Zulu lowered her head at Mion, who returned her greeting. I resisted the urge to yank Mion's head back up. This girl's the reason Sasa's gone. There's no need to treat her like royalty. We came here to get away from violence, Mion said, her tone exhausted, speaking to a child. The past half hour she elbowed my ribs and wanted to throw an apple at me, but sure, peace. Got it. The Rastarian boy gripped his sword's hilt. Zulu referred to him as Neek, so he should start doing the same. You can't touch Shuri if you tried, Neek said to me. There's no aura coming out of you. According to fairy tales, warriors could detect each other by their auras. The rumors be true. So, Neek must be one of the strongest around. On the other hand, Mion had me by her side. Legend said I once broomed the entire temple in a single afternoon. Nobody ever dared mess with me. Neek began to unsheath his blade. If you keep disrespecting Zulu there. The baby birds from earlier soaked back into the scene. This time, brought their parents with them. Birds had a pecking neck, pulling his hair as if they were worms. He'd scare away the baby birds just to make his grand entrance, so he probably deserved it. Wow, hey, what the? Neek unsheathed his sword and swung it at the birds. The blade slipped off his butterfingers, almost slicing off his leg in the process. Zulu waved her arms at the birds, and they at last gathered off. Zulu stroked Nix's back to calm him. She covered her mouth. A second later, and I caught her giggling. No need to hide it. I for one laughed so much I could no longer breathe. Mion, thank you for punching him. My arm to calm me, I might have choked to death. Need picked his sword back up. Enough fooling around. Let's head back to camp before these birds come back. Neek and Zulu walked off along the bush path. That Neek might be a clown, but I must nonetheless raise my guard. This could all still be an act, and we might be stumbling into a Rastarian trap. Mion stood still for a while, but eventually followed Neek and Zulu. He snored and trailed the three of them up to a campsite, the one Neek and Zulu had supposedly set up earlier. Mion sat under the grass beside the campfire. She stretched her palms towards the flames and let out a long breath. Looked like she had been struggling against this cold. Mion gestured me to sit beside her, and I did as asked. Inside this freezing forest, the flames felt as pleasant as resting on Sasa's lap. She just let me do it once a year on my birthday, so I would know. Fucking pervert. I'm proud of you. Neat walked into a tent erected near a campfire and came out carrying a flower-patterned towel. Here, said, placing the towel over a patch of dirt near the fire. Zulu sat on the other towel to avoid dirtying her dress. These next gentleman meter almost reached puke level. Once Zulu settled in, Nick seated under the dirt beside her. Zulu turned to face Mion. I too have fled from Rastaria's temple, Mistress Mion. I've no wish to oppose you any further. Doing so would only destroy us both. You're a little late, I said. Mion pinched my finger in an attempt to stop me, but I spoke on. Thanks to you, Sasa is dead. He killed our friend, our closest friend, our only friend. Zulu surged to her feet with quivering lips, her body shielding the moonlight behind her. Had I gone too far with my words? This whole time I'd been stressing over Neek and the sword. I'd forgotten Zulu could put me in a body bag just by lifting a veil. But instead of doing that, Zulu dropped an altar on all fours as if paying tribute to a goddess. I'm sorry, really sorry. Zulu stopped me and folded arms as if it had been the bully. Zulu and Mion both at the cursed side, but the shoe acted differently. Mion would never break down like this, but it made me think perhaps she was bottling just as much guilt inside of her. Nick tried to lift Zulu up, but she shook her head and refused to rise. Done something unforgivable to these two. It's only right that they would hate me. Seeing Zulu like this evaporated my anger. I stood frowning, unsure of what to say. Sasa once told me Mion never asked for her powers. Must have been the same case for Zulu. Mion put her hands on Zulu's shoulders. The ruler must have forced you to resist my spells. It's the same way with me. Guys from Westaria. He understands as well, right, Guy? Judging from Mion's tone, if I said no, she would throw a pineapple. At least that fear helped me make up my mind. Sure, I guess. Oh, thank you so much. Zulu sniffled as she rose. Mistress Mion, Sir Guy, you're both too kind. Nick handed Zulu a handkerchief and used it to dab away her tears. You two told us to come here, so I hope you have a plan, I said. Nick and Zulu exchanged a look that told me they were as prepared as a baby tossed into a bullfight. Rest easy. Nick's voice deepened as he said this. In fact, his entire demeanor seemed to have shifted, exuding a confidence that shone in the moonlight. I'll think of something. My word is gold. Mion and Zulu fell silent. Did Nick shaman thrall them? If I pulled off the veils, their eyes might be sparkling like the starry sky. Goddess, at this rate, even I might end up on the Nick bandwagon. Nope. Absolutely unconvincing for me, but alright. 2 nights had passed since Mion and I escaped into the forest. Locke must be panicking right now, not over Mion's safety, but rather the outcome of his war. Once he flipped Melody way upside down, he would most likely send man to search this forest. If I fled on my own, perhaps I could have started a new life in some other village. Mion with her cursed side would receive zero welcome regardless of where she went. No way would I leave her behind for my freedom. Nick, with his golden word, had promised to figure something out. Well, he did erect half a dozen strawmen around camp to keep the birds away, so he sorted that problem out at least. Good to laugh how the birds feared the strawmen more than Nick himself. But having no plans about the future, Nick still wore a smug grin as he held a screwed rabbit in each hand and waved him in the face. He only caught one last night. He had 2, so snooze you lose. Oh my, cool story, champ. I might let you cut them open as well then. Nick's face twitched upon hearing my proposal, as a servant had done just about every dirty job out there, unclogging toilets, clearing roach nests, and of course, butchering animals in the kitchen. Zeke, on the other hand, seemed too faint at the mentioning of blood. He might have Mion and Zulu charmed, but I serious doubts about his whole warrior act. Feeling like I had the last word, I snatched the rabbits from Nick and marched off. He probably thought it glares behind my back, but let the haters hate. He just comes in from the side here. To cut the rabbits up with a knife Nick had brought to camp, Zulu peeked at me from behind a tree. This was the 3rd time I caught her spying on me. Perhaps she wanted to check if I was dripping poison into her meat. That night we gathered around the campfire to eat. Compared to what the chefs prepared for me and back in the temple, we might as well be eating wood here. Praise the goddess, nobody had gotten sick yet. If I was drinking out of a nearby pond and all. Zulu spat out of mouthfuls of meat from time to time. She did so in secret, probably to avoid hurting my feelings. Mion and Nick, on the other hand, spat them straight into the campfire. Once we finished eating, I said to Nick, "So, when will you tell us about this plan of yours?" "Just get ready to be blown away," Nick said in his deep voice, convincing as always, that guy. Mion and Zulu sat in silence, no doubt captured by Nick's charisma once again. Maybe we should ask him for lessons sometimes. Zulu snapped out of a trance. "I wonder how things about going in Westaria. I'd force the war to end, I would. Anything to bring peace to our nation." "Get that thought out of your head," Mion said. Even if we combined our powers, it would not be enough to bend an entire nation to our will. We would sooner die from exhaustion. Solo bit her lip, looking like she wanted to cry. Oh, that is. I'm sorry for being so useless, Mr. Simeon. Sergei, really, really sorry. Mion put both hands over her hips, and to be honest, I wanted to do the same. When in doubt, it never hurt to apologize, but Solo took things way too far. She went into the bathroom and someone else needed to go. She might slice her throat as penance. Nick whispered into Solo's ear, "Should we get started?" Solo nodded, and after Bao retreated into the tent with Nick, he'd been pulling the same stunt every night. Boy and the girl alone in the tent. Just what could be going on inside? Ian slapped me across the head. Get your mind out of the gutter. Tried to Mion's accusation, sure. No right to invade Solo and Nick's privacy, but I feared they might be plotting something. Once Mion got up and walked off, I edged towards Solo and Nick's tent, hoping to listen out for clues. As I drew nearer, I heard Solo's laughter coming from inside. Solo could get through a day without apologizing. I thanked the goddesses for the miracle. I never imagined I would hear a chuckle like this. What kind of voodoo did Nick perform? I think I heard something. Nick's voice came from inside the tent. Uh-oh, time for me to bail. The next morning I watched as Solo failed over and over to catch the rabbits running around her. The rain growing heavier, I feared she would slip and break in a puddle. Able to watch him whilst need some help? Solo shook her head vigorously. It's my turn to hunt today. Please, leave it to me. Well, I admire determination. Oh, are you impressed? Solo bounced after me with a grin. She might have the curse side, but I guess she still liked praises any child would. At least this beat having to hear her say sorry from morning to night. Sure, I'm impressed. Very impressed. I reached out to pat Solo's head, but she had the veil on, so I had to settle for rubbing her head. Solo twiddled her fingers and giggled. Jeez, when was a pamper the one responsible for Salsa's death? Guess staying mad proved to be pretty tiresome. Might have been easier if Solo was some loud dude with bad odor. See this way? This was why girls annoyed me sometimes. Solo regained her serious demeanor. Actually, Sergei, I've been wanting to talk to you. Alone. That's why you've been stalking me? Shook my head as Solo blushed. Yes, I've noticed. You make a pretty bad spy. Mr. Smeon and I both have the cursed side, but our powers are quite different. I can see into the past, and even affect it to a small extent. Solo gripped me by the arms. Sergei, I wish to learn about your history. Yeah, we finally get to learn that she's our sister. Yay. Why me? Solo's cursed eyes leaned toward mine. The air felt heavy and difficult to inhale. Took her head to refrain from pushing her into the mud. You are unique, Sergei. Please, it will only take a moment, Solo said. Calling me unique told me a grand total of nothing. Too bad, for I had many secrets I wished to keep buried. Being sold by your family hardly counted as a crowning achievement. The dark thoughts I held against my parents belonged to me alone. Solo put down a defeated smile. Please accept my apologies for making such a sudden request. It's only natural that you'd feel uncomfortable, but should you change your mind, please do let me know. When she would be hassling me about this again, please she asked for my permission first, but if she grew desperate, courtesy might go flying out the window. Barring at me, Solo returned to hunting, or at least a failed attempt to do so. Just what did she want to find out? At this rate, I might drown inside this pool of anxiety. Solo showed up at lunch with no food to offer. This hardly came as a surprise, I must say. The way she burst into tears was just as unsurprising. I'm sorry for being so useless, really, really sorry. Solo looked ready to collapse on their hands and knees. Nick put a stop to the madness by lifting her by the armpits. Mion trotted up to Solo, looking like she had seen enough. She raised her hands. I thought she might slap Solo silly for being useless. Instead, Mion stretched Solo's cheeks and pulled her lips into a smile. Sasa used to pinch our faces in the same way when we were little. Even in death, I doubted Sasa would fall Solo for what had taken place. Mion came into this forest with the heart to forgive as well. I, on the other hand, harbored enough hatred to make Locke look like a saint. Imagine Sasa's disappointment made me hang my head. Stop hating yourself so much, Mion said. Sulu managed a small nod, and Mion let go of her face. When Sulu loathed herself to this extreme, you and I had trouble holding onto my crutch. I'll find some food for you all, Nick said, his voice going real deep. You have my solemn vow. Mion and Sulu feel speechless once again. Nick walked into a room filled with teenage girls. The fight for his affection might be more terrifying than the war between East and West Harvia. Nonetheless, this must be another of his golden pledges. His promise for food proved as reliable as the one he made about planning a future. I might as well go nibble on some grass right now and call that my lunch. At least Nick did make a start by strolling off to hunt. Solo meanwhile shuffled away in the opposite direction. He stared at the dirt and the foot while she walked as if looking for a pit to stumble into. Mion and I traded nods before following Sulu. Label as stalkers we must, but should this keep up, I feared Sulu might hurt herself. As I walked, I suddenly felt something with legs landing on my head. I counted at least 6 legs, tickling my hair. It had to be a spider. One big enough to cover my entire skull, no less. Yelp, I frantically pushed both hands across my hand. Roaches, whatever, spiders, get it off, get it off. Especially these forest ones, which could be more venomous than Mion's mouth whenever I messed up her ritual. Mion reached for my head, clearly aware of how dangerous this violet could be. Relax. It's a tree branch, Mion said, waving the stick at me. Sulu found a pit to fall into. I wondered if she would let me join her. Life had become a little too mean for my tastes. Sulu came running in our direction. Did she see what happened and wanted to come and laugh in my face? Judging by my grin, it suddenly appeared to be an attention. Mistress Mion, the guy, Sulu shouted when she caught up to us. I found something. Come, come. Sulu dragged Mion and me by our wrists and led us to a pond filled with fish. See? There are plenty of fish for us to catch and eat here. Sulu runs up and down by the pond. Mion and I had held her hand to hand, stopped her from slipping into the water. As long as you're not the one catching them. But Sulu stopped jumping and now looked like she wanted to walk into the pond and drown herself. Mion stomped on my foot, making me change my tone. But wow, what a discovery! Mion and I give Sulu's head a good rubbing. Sulu beamed, clinging onto our praise like a soldier preserving his rations. Jeez, what a handful. The crescent moon dangled under the starry sky. I towed my exhausted self back into the tent. Found Mion and Sulu sitting inside, chuckling at a bunch of papers sprawled across the grass. Oh no, being stranded in this forest had at last invited their brains. Hang on, you two. Dr. Guide arrived to shake some sanity back into your heads. Good evening, Sir Guy, Sulu said, giggling. Take a look at this comic, Nick Drew. Nick? An artist. Then I must be a rocket scientist without even knowing it. I did recall seeing street artists in West Harria during my childhood. Parents had bought me some of the comics even. Watch your backside, Nick. I knew my stuff when it came to art. Picked a few pages off the ground to flip through. Both the art and the humor seemed passable at best. But I might just let be lashing out because Nick happened to be the artist. Had Mion and Sulu never read a comic before? Talk about easily amused. Never saw a performer chuckling into balls. They might die from a laughing fit. I recalled hearing Sulu laugh like this in her tent a few nights ago, when Nick and Sulu's nightly meetings in effect were comic reading sessions. Sulu seemed to be loosening up now that we spent almost a week together. As for Mion, I'd forgotten the last time she chuckled like this, not since Sansa's death. I believed seeing her smile made me do the same. I knew you'd like this comic, Sulu said, lifting her chin as if she offered us pages. She must have thought my smile meant I loved the comics. Yeah, they are alright, I said, handing the pages back to Sulu. Nick's a really good artist, Sulu said. This was me and she loves the comics too. Ian gently slapped Sulu's head because into his land. Remember what I said? No more of that mystery stuff. Sulu straightened her head. Okay, Mion. Mion nodded, giving off the aura of an older sister training her sibling. I no more surf or guy either. Actually, kind of like it, I said. Mion lowered her head in my direction, looked like she wanted to fold every paper around her into planes and suicide bombed them with my man parts. With a sigh, I nodded. Yeah, no more surf for me. Got it. Mion? Guy. Zulu said, beaming as man struck the hand praise. You two sure are close. Is that so? I like the pages of the grant and order them page by page, all in an effort to keep cool. Zulu nodded 3 times as if worried Mion and might miss the first 2 nods. Mion keeps talking about you whenever we're alone. She said he taught her how to find joy in life. Oh, that's cool. Double check the comment pages to make sure they float in the right order. Hang on, maybe I should check them 3 more times just to be safe. Go for a walk, guy, Mion said, her face as white as a lantern that had caught fire. Her cheeks felt like they had been lit by a match, so I probably look just like her right now. Come on, guy, it's the perfect situation for a man to show his cool. I tried to retort in the same deep voice that Nick often used. The words have already been etched on my heart. Mion stretched her hands out, Zulu looking ready to hurl her at me. Okay, walk a walk. Second I bolted Mion zipped up the tent, no doubt about to engage in a girl's only talk with Zulu, but keeping secrets. So that's what Mion thinks of me, I muttered to myself and cackled. Causing the ravens overhead to scatter from the nest. Sorry, birds, but this evening belonged to Guy, champion of the wild. I needed to call Mion out on one mistake for. She said I taught her how to find joy in life. But that credit, in fact, belonged to Sasa. I would know if she had shown me the same thing. Without her, I might have hung myself a long time ago. Seeing Mion smile made me feel fine. We've put in the future on hold. If we're around, maybe living out our lives in the forest with the spiders and bats could be okay. Well, alright, I could do without the spiders. Well, several comic pages scattered outside Nix's tent. Gus must have slipped them off his butterfingers. I picked up one of the pages to take a look. Let's see, drawing of a boy and a girl embracing each other, their faces inches apart from a kiss. 2 characters sure look like Nick and Zulu. Somehow, I got the feeling Nick never intended for this particular piece to see the light of day. Hey! Nick shouted from behind me, swept every page towards me, snatching the one I was holding in my hand as well. Listen, you, Nick panted. This is secret between men. Got it? I nodded, struggling to keep a straight face. A few chapters escaped despite my greatest efforts. First a few, then okay, a lot. How about this? I do a sketch of you and Mion, then you keep your mouth shut, Nick said. There's no need, but hey, Zulu really loves your comics. In fact, that's probably one of the things she likes about you best. Maybe you can stop trying to act cool and just be yourself. Zulu likes me? You really think so? Yeah, maybe. God, is there's way too many s in there. But Nick had fallen asleep. And there's something else. Nick gained his composure as he waited for the continue. Comics put a smile on Mion's face, I said, avoiding my gaze, so, you know, thanks. So even a commoner like you recognize my talents, Nick said. What did I just say about trying to act cool? His grin really made me It takes years of blood sweat to reach my level. Anyone can scribble on some scrap paper. Hey, are you listening? Nope. Here are talent, sweet, passion, cool. Nick sighed. I started drawing because my parents barely made enough prawns to feed themselves. Zulu threw my art on the streets and let me draw around the temple. For that, I owe her my life. Nick's eyes met mine. Zulu told me she wanted to look into your past, and I mean it's a lot to her, so listen, I'm begging her here. Nick fell onto all fours after the way Zulu often did. Since he met, he had challenged me over every little thing. Whose breath stink more in the mornings, who stepped on my rabbit poo in a day, and whatever else. I never imagined I would see him bleed like this. Fine, I'll do it. I swear if I die in the process, my spirit will curse you into never growing another inch. You'll be safe, Nick crows, brushing dirt off his pants. I give you my golden promise. Those words assured me about as much as his spider promising it would never crawl under my face at night. Much better to kill with fire if you asked me. Nick gestured at me to follow him into his tent. He did his ass and found Zulu sitting inside. I got him to say yes, Nick said. His broad tongue made me feel like I'd been scammed by a con artist. Zulu twirled her fingers as if knitting an invisible scarf. You have my eternal gratitude, sir, Guy, but are you sure? I shrugged. You can thank Nick, I guess. He went all out convincing me into playing along. Oh, thank you. Zulu hopped up to Nick and called her arms around him. Nick's head swiveled as if the spirit had drifted off the moon. To the moon! I'll let him go, Zulu, or his soul might never return. Zulu released Nick and spun into face. In that case, please pardon my rudeness, guy. Zulu clasped my shoulders and lowered me to her height. She pressed 2 fingers against my left temple, followed by another 2 on the right. Goddess of time, rewind the clock and grant me your vision. Zulu chanted under her breath. The grass under the foot began to shake. It felt just like the carpet quaking whenever Mion performed the ritual back in the temple. It felt as if needles were poking into my brain, but Zulu gritted her teeth and the pain went away. She really kept to her word about keeping me safe, but perhaps it came at the cost of her well-being. I could feel the sweat on the fingertips staining my temples. Nick furrowed his brows in my direction. The look told me if I asked for a break now, he would cut one of my butt cheeks both. If I have changed my mind, never wanted to do this again. You have ceased rumbling as Zulu lowered her hands. Nick pulled a handkerchief from his pocket to brush the sweat off her neck. It really is you, Zulu covered her lips with both hands. My brother, Guy. No shit, Sherlock, yes, oh my god, I didn't see that twist coming, that came out of nowhere, who would have thought? I didn't see that coming, oh my god, 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 oh my god. Did Zulu just call me brother? Perhaps it should be the moment where I wept and embraced my long lost sister in the sunset. Well, first I had gone to sleep hours ago. Second, I knew better than to accept her words that easily. Nick gave Zulu a nod before stepping out of the tent. The one time when I wanted him around, he had to act all considerate and leave us alone. I could have sworn someone had welcomed all the out of this tent. Mother and father were the first victims of my cursed sights. Once Vestara understood my powers, the temple took me in, Zulu said. Zulu's history matched Mion's almost word for word. More important, her story mirrored what has supposedly happened to my sister. If my sister still lived, she would indeed be around Zulu's age. Zulu squeezed her dress as if a mosquito had flown inside. Her sight affected my health when I was a baby. Mother and father sold it to cover the medical costs. That meant telling me had nothing to do with the holiday or whatever else I'd assumed. My parents could have just told me. To keep me in the dark, fearing I would hate my sister. Zulu dropped onto her hand and sneezed. Destroyed your life, brother. If you want to stab me right here, I'll have no complaints. Half of me yearned for a reunion while the other voiced a hundred suspicions. I felt as if hands were pulling me from either side, threatening to tear me in two. Zulu reached toward me, and I retreated until my back hit the wall. I need some time to think this through. Instead, I flipped the tent flap open and fled into the forest. Zulu had followed me out, might have started running. I crawled back into my tent and found Mion already asleep inside. She snored in her sleep as always, but I never told her she might respond by impaling a pineapple between my eyes. I sat cross-legged in the corner and buried my face inside my hands. What made Zulu suspect I was a part in the first place? She must have pieced the puzzle together when Mion told her things about me. The same hair color, I don't know, stuff like that. Yeah. I had been so determined to spite anyone involved with Sassa's death. Zulu's personality already made it hard enough for anyone to hate her. Now she claimed to be my sister as well. News only brought back memories I had tried so hard to bury. Zulu felt responsible for what happened to me as a child. Now I knew why she loathed herself so much. I must have been gnawing at her all this time, but I still wish she never had told me. First step together as potential siblings, and I'd already fallen flat on my face. Someone put a hand on my shoulder and covered my face to see Mion kneeling before me, her nose close enough to touch mine. The decade together, I no longer feared being near Mion and the cursed side. In recent years, what made my heart pound was the fact that she was a girl. Tonight, with my mind bursting with uncertainty, those feelings never registered. Guy, everything alright? Mion asked. Wait to disturb everyone's night, Guy. I tried to give Mion a summary so she could return to sleep, but as I talked, all of my thoughts came pouring out. There's no way you can suddenly start reading Zulu like my sister. It's barely been 2 weeks. Mia nodded and kept silence so I could ramble on. Still shaking what happened to Sasa, you know? I keep seeing her corpse in my sleep. Mia looped her arms around me, her warmth melted my shell of toughness and my voice started to crack. Damn it. Sorry. Now you'll be thinking about it too. Mia tightened her embrace, letting her hair drape across my shoulder. Stop being silly and tell me all of your problems. Mia spoke in the same tone Sasa used to put on whenever I threw a tantrum. But the war would force me to grow up. But please, just for this evening, let me remember how fun it felt to act spoiled. Mia released her embrace and took a seat in the grass beside me. After locking our fingers together, we exchanged stories of the nightmares that had been plaguing our sleep. Perhaps I should be struck by lightning for this, but it relieved me to learn that Mia's heart had been scarred as badly as mine. I shared every ordeal we shared, no matter good or bad. A pair of bee stingers. I might even keep the needles for souvenir. Alright, I'm gonna end this video here. I hope you enjoyed. We got a little bit more story. We are reunited with our sister. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, have a great one.